Hello, this is Michael Paul with New Orleans Scottish Rite College. I wanted to do a video today on an email that I recently received. The brother asked if I would do a video on meals in a lodge. Actually, I touched on this subject in a longer video some time back, but I'll be happy to give a few more thoughts. In a good number of videos, I've talked about the importance of Masonic education in Masonic lodges. I've talked about how some lodges offer little more than a hot meal and a reading of the minutes. For those Masons desiring more out of their Masonic experience, this sort of lodge is a tremendous disappointment. But I don't want to be misunderstood. So that my meaning is perfectly clear, I believe Masons deserve much more than a meal and minutes. But in no way do I mean that a good meal at a lodge is unimportant. I believe that a good meal should be part of the total Masonic experience, which includes Masonic education. Human beings are social creatures, and we enjoy the company of each other. In today's world, we don't really need Masonic lodges to study Masonic books, but the exchange of ideas with our fellow Masons is a benefit to us, not only for our education, but also for the enjoyment of learning with others. As Masons and as humans, we benefit from being with others of like mind and sharing thoughts and ideas. A good meal to start off our lodge experience with our brothers is nothing but beneficial for everyone. But for the balance of this video, I'm going to assume that following the meal, the members will go up to their lodge and benefit further from a sound Masonic educational program. So let's focus on the meal. Now, in my traveling around, I've seen many different types of lodges. I've seen massive multi-story temples in large cities and small cinder block buildings with just a couple of rooms out in the middle of nowhere. Some lodges have large, fully stocked kitchens and even barbecue areas outside. Other lodges are so small that they are lucky if they have a coffee pot. But everyone eats, and there are ways to work a great dinner experience no matter the limitations of your lodge. As with everything else, planning is key. If you fly by the seat of your pants and just expect things to work out, then they probably won't. A smart junior warden will start planning out his year as worshipful master, even though he is several years away from the office. As far as meals go, think about variety and quality. If you don't plan things out and have a schedule for meals, then real life will get in the way. And on meeting night, you'll be rushing to the grocery to buy hot dogs to throw in a large pot of water. Great memorable meal. I suggest that a meal committee be formed, and it be an active committee. Lodges normally meet once or twice a month. It's not that hard to plan out meals a good bit ahead of time and stick to a schedule. Many times where you live and where your lodge is located will play a part in the types of meal you serve. Lodges near large bodies of water will normally have seafood readily available. Large pots of stew, or really pots of whatever is the local favorite, is good. You want to have enough food to feed everyone, and then a little bit extra, just in case. I remember one lodge that decided they were going to place more emphasis on good meals. They were tired of hot dogs, cold cuts, and spaghetti and meatballs. They wanted more variety in their meals. By luck, an amateur chef joined their lodge and offered to cook for them. In just a few months, the lodge was the talk of the area, and attendance did go up quite a bit. In fact, the whole atmosphere of the lodge turned from ho-hum to excited to be there. I realize that not every lodge has an amateur or professional chef as a member, but there are other things that you can do. Get yourself a good cookbook and use it. A few years ago, I edited a cookbook designed for Masonic lodges. There is a link to this cookbook in the description area. But really, any good cookbook will work. The key is to make sure that you like the type of food in the cookbook and that the recipes lend themselves to expansion. By this, I mean that if the recipe says that it's for 3 people, make sure that the ingredients lend themselves to doubling, tripling, or whatever is needed to equal the number of people you expect at a meeting. A half a teaspoon of some ingredient is far easier to multiply than, say, for example, 6/8 of a teaspoon. The idea is to create excitement in the type of meals that will be served so that the meals themselves will be an event and not just something that you do before lodge. A boring meal before lodge sets a bad tone for the rest of the evening, whereas an enjoyable meal can turn everything around. Advertising good upcoming meals in your lodge newsletter also builds interest. I remember one Scottish Rite Valley where the secretary made it an event just reading the minutes to talk about the previous meal. He would talk of the succulent and tender roast beef with a fresh and exciting side salad, and other phrases that would make anyone who had missed the last meeting envious of what they missed. It all goes down to working as a team to make all aspects of the lodge experience enjoyable and something that you don't want to miss. But there is one more thing that I really need to mention. Let's go back for a moment and talk about that lodge that I mentioned earlier. It had an amateur chef who volunteered to cook for them. Yes, without question, he cooked some outstanding meals for the lodge. Everyone enjoyed the cooking and attendance did go up considerably because of the dramatic improvement in the quality of the meals. Members did begin looking forward to the meal, and it did become a major part of the whole lodge experience. But after about a year, the young brother stopped showing up at lodge and no longer offered to cook for them. The members of the lodge were upset, and some actually said that he was letting the lodge down by refusing to cook for them. So why did he stop cooking? The reason is not so hard to understand. He went to considerable effort on his own to plan out the meals, go to the grocery, buy everything, show up at lodge at least an hour or two early to cook the meal, serve the meal to the members, and then, by himself, remain after the lodge was over to clean up all the pots and pans that were used to cook the meal. He was not paid to cook for the lodge and only was reimbursed for the food that he purchased. The members would show up at lodge, eat the food, enjoy themselves, and then go to the lodge. They would never help him pick up the food from the grocery, help him with any of the cooking chores, nor any of the cleaning up after the lodge, and most of the time did not even thank him for what he did. He began to feel taken advantage of and grew tired of what seemed to be a wholly unappreciated work that he was doing. It shouldn't have to be said, but if someone is going to put themselves out to help you, let them know how much you appreciate their efforts. Don't leave them on their own and not even acknowledge what they are doing for you. A successful lodge is one that not only provides programs, events, and education for its members, but lets all who help know how much they value and how much they appreciate their efforts. Not showing appreciation for what someone does is a very quick way for them to realize that they could be spending their time in much better ways. In my opinion, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it right. By spending just a little time to plan out your lodge meals and treating it as an event itself, you can make so much more out of it. Planning is key. Be creative. Look around at what successful lodges are doing. Try new things. Create budgets for meals just as you would for any necessary expense. If you charge for meals, make sure it just covers the expense, and also make sure that what they are getting is something that they will be happy to pay for. I know of one lodge that made a deal with a meat processing plant and obtained some very nice steaks at a great price. They served barbecue steaks with baked potatoes and charged $5 a head. They covered all their expenses, including drinks, and everyone had a great time. I saw another lodge that charged the same price for boiled hot dogs and chips. Guess which lodge was the happier? Thank you for watching. I hope this video has been of some value. If you like the channel, please hit the like button and subscribe to us. See you next time.